We've got a beautiful Friday slate on our hands, and we're going to talk about it all. This is Crusty Case from the Go Boys Network here, coming to you with the slate preview for May 10th. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Sleeper Picks, but we'll talk about that later. Let's hop right into this one. First game on our slate is the Chicago Cubs taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. This is Jameson Taillon versus Jared Jones. And if you're not backing Jared Jones at this point, I don't know what you're doing with your life. This kid is outstanding. He's putting up numbers that even Spencer Strider didn't put up his first season. The strikeout stuff is incredible. The whiff, just like 98th percentile in whiff rate, 97th percentile in chase rate. This guy is legit. He gets a Cubs team, 25.8% K rate for right-handed pitching over the last 2 weeks. And if you're not looking at Jared Jones strikeouts here, then you probably don't like money. Numbers probably going to open a bit high because you get the Cubs on the road. Obviously, Jared Jones has been outstanding. But I'm comfortable with this one probably up to 6.5 or 7.5 plus money. And I'm rolling with Jared Jones all day long. In terms of side, same thing. Give me the Pirates. Give me the Pirates in the first 5. I don't want to trust their bullpen. This Cubs team is a patient team, but Jones has just been attacking the zone, and we've seen this Cubs team really struggle with that like plus velo type stuff. We saw Cease just absolutely blow them away in the last power pitcher they saw. And so now Jared Jones, I'm expecting a similar situation here with a guy who's just, a big plus velo guy, just blow by these Cubs hitters. So give me the Pirates in the first 5, and give me Jared Jones strikeouts. Our next one is the Houston Astros taking on the Detroit Tigers. This is Framber Valdez versus Casey Mize. In this one, I'm going to lean to the Astros here. Framber hasn't looked great, but I can't trust Casey Mize. I do expect Tigers to be able to have some success here because, as I mentioned, Framber just hasn't looked like the Framber that we're used to, and you're getting him on the road, which historically he's just not nearly as sharp on the road. So I do like some runs here. I actually like some runs from Houston as well. Give me the over. I think we're going to see some offense here. You get a Tigers team that's hitting left-handed pitching overall fairly well, and you get an Astros team who's kind of starting to come alive. They really got the Stroman in this last game they played. It is a goofy travel spot for them, so I'm a little concerned about that. But overall, I just think we see runs here. Give me the over. Our next one is the New York Yankees taking on Tampa Bay Rays. This is Clark Schmidt versus Taj Bradley. So the Rays, Ryan Pepiot got hurt. Obviously a big blow, but Taj Bradley is officially back. Made 2 rehab starts. His last rehab start through 94 pitches in 6 innings, 8 Ks. So he's fully stretched, ready to go, and I love this spot for him. He gets a Yankees team who somehow has never seen him. He pitched, obviously, for majority of 2023, and he's in the AL East and somehow never matched up in a game against the Yankees. So this will be the first time seeing him, and I think he's going to have a ton of success here. Stuff is nasty. We saw it last year quite a bit. Curveball, it's one of those big 12-6 ones. Absolutely filthy. I expect him to deal here. So, and actually, I like Clark Schmidt, truthfully, too. He's been serviceable. Definitely a consistent starter for the Yankees. So, give me the first 5 under. I think we see a pitcher's duel early. I think this Tampa Bay team, the bats have, they were kind of hot. Then they lost to the White Sox in that final game, and I just think they're kind of in a weird spot here. So I like Clark Schmidt. I think he pitches well enough in the first 5 to keep this thing under. And like I said, Taj Bradley, I think he absolutely deals. I think it's a great spot for his strikeouts too, even against the K-adverse Yankee team. They'll have some guys who just consistently are, K-prone, like Judge, Stanton, even Rizzo to some extent. You're going to see probably 4, maybe even 5 guys, depending on who they put in, who do have some decent K potential. And I'm guessing his line's right around 4.5. So I'd be in on Taj Bradley K's here as well. Our next one, this is the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Baltimore Orioles. This is Brandon Pfaadt versus Cole Irvin. This is one of those Apple TV games, and historically the Apple TV games, if you don't know, they typically go over. I'm just not sure how willing I am to back the full game over because the Diamondbacks, the bats are just not there for me right now. Baltimore had a pretty poor showing in Washington. They come home where they're just an overall better team. And I like some runs here from them, so I'm going to go with the Baltimore team total. It's an angle I take, especially with the Orioles at home. Expecting these bats to wake up a little bit. You get Brandon Pfaadt, who kind of in a mixed bag. He's been much better at home. And just getting him on the road here, I think it's a good spot to see him get touched up. Guys like Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, all the lefties in this lineup, I think they're going to have a field day against Brandon Pfaadt. So Give me the Orioles team total here. Our next one is the Minnesota Twins taking on Toronto Blue Jays. This is Joe Ryan versus Kikuchi. Kikuchi, he's actually been really, really good this season. Not a guy who I typically like to back in any capacity, but this season he's been absolutely outstanding. He does get a Twins team here that over the last 2 weeks, not like a huge sample, only 150 plate appearances. They have a WRC plus of 180 versus left-handed pitching. So, I mean, they're absolutely crushing the ball. The one thing I will say is they haven't seen a guy with the pitch mix like Kikuchi here, so I'm not sure that I buy into it fully. But Joe Ryan, guy who obviously struggles, gives up quite a few home runs. We've all seen it. A little too reliant on his fastball, if you ask me, for a guy who only throws like 93, 94. So I'm going to roll with the over here. Total's only at 7.5 because you're getting like a aces on the bump, I guess you could say. But I like runs. I think Toronto can get to Joe Ryan. Like I said, he gives up at least probably 1 or 2 long balls here. And with the way Minnesota's hitting left-handed pitching, I think we're going to see runs. Give me the over 7.5. Our next one is the Atlanta Braves taking on the New York Mets. This is Charlie Morton versus Jose Quintana. It's an interesting spot here. Quintana had his start pushed back because the Mets' last game got postponed. You get Charlie Morton, who, you know what you get with Charlie. You're going to get probably 5-6 innings. He's probably going to have 3-4 runs. And it's just, a typical Charlie Morton start. Braves really starting to come alive against left-handed pitching. Obviously, a ton of familiarity with Quintana here. I like the over in this one, too. I think we see runs. Like I said, Charlie Morton, you know what you're going to get. Probably 3-4 runs allowed. And then Quintana on the other side, I think there's just so much familiarity here. And you get a Braves team who's really starting to swing it again. I like runs. Give me the over. No real interest in either pitcher in terms of strikeouts. I usually like to fade Quintana against the Braves just because they do hit him so well. But Braves been a little more free swinging as of late, so it's tough to trust them when the line's probably going to be like a 3.5. So small lean to Quintana under strikeouts, but don't love it just because of the way the Braves have been lately. Our next one is Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Miami Marlins. This is Ranger Suarez versus Trevor Rogers, and if you're not back in Danger Ranger Power Ranger, you're crazy. This guy's been absolutely outstanding, looking like a Cy Young potential candidate for sure. Pitching deep into games, super efficient, and I love him here to go deep into this one. Ranger Suarez outs, I think, are a great look here. It's just a guy who's super efficient, attacks the zone, gets a Marlins team that's just not hitting. I mean, flat out not hitting. That's the easiest way to put it. WRC plus was just 70 over the last 2 weeks for left-handed pitching. So great spot for him to pitch deep into this one. On top of the low WRC plus, they're not walking. They don't see a lot of pitches, actually like the fewest pitches per plate appearance in all of baseball this season. So should see a lot of quick at-bats here. Trevor Rogers, not great. Never really has the stuff, consistent command. And obviously facing a Phillies team that's, in my opinion, has cooled off a little bit. But this is a great spot for them to get the bats going. So I like the Phillies here. The money line's a little too juiced. It's like right around minus 200. So with Ranger on the bump, I would opt for the Phillies run line. I think Phillies minus 1.5. I think it comes through. Like I said, Ranger's going to pitch well here. Probably allow 1 or less runs, truthfully. And I think the Phillies can get to Rogers. This game probably ends up being like a 4-0, 5-1 type game. So give me the Phillies minus 1.5.
Wait, before we get back to the picks, I wanted to thank you all for watching. Friends don't let friends watch videos without hitting the like button. So go ahead and press the thumbs up button and like the video. If you're new here and not subscribed, you should go ahead and do so because we're dropping new content each and every day on the Gold Boys Network. We strive to cover every sport and give out picks and analysis and valuable information for free on the Gold Boys Network. So make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell so you can get notified when we drop something new. I'm Brad Thomas. Let's get back to the picks.
Our next one is the Washington Nationals taking on the Boston Red Sox. This is Patrick Corbin versus Tanner Huck. And for me here, it's really gross, but I don't see how you don't look at Patrick Corbin's strikeouts. Boston against lefties this season has been terrible. 29.8% K rate, and they are swinging at almost everything if you're throwing it from the left-hand side for whatever reason. So Patrick Corbin strikeouts, it's going to be nasty, but I really don't see how he doesn't cover them. In terms of side here, though, I do like Boston. Tanner Huck just been so good. And you get a Washington team, WRC plus of just 80, batting average below 200. And their walk rate's down quite a bit, too. They're just not hitting right now. And I think Huck has been super efficient, been really good at, working in and out with his splitter. Really figured out his stuff to lefties too, which has just made him borderline unhittable at times. I think they get it done here. I like Boston. Give me Boston on the money line. Our next one is the Cleveland Guardians taking on the Chicago White Sox. This is Carlos Carrasco versus Garrett Crochet. And this one for me, I'm going to go with the White Sox in the first 5. Likely, it looks like actually plus the half a run because Cleveland is favored here, and it's a little surprising to me with Crochet on the bump. But, I mean, I guess with how bad the White Sox pen is, and they know Crochet is probably not going to go more than 5 innings, I guess I kind of understand it, but I'm a little confused by this line. But I'm going to go with the White Sox plus a half in the first 5. You get Crochet facing a Cleveland team is not hitting left-handed pitching well this season. On the season, WRC plus is below 80, and over the last 2 weeks, it's right around the same. So no really like big jump or like big skid. They're just not hitting it. K percent is actually up quite a bit versus left-handed pitching, 26.7%, and that's largely because this Cleveland team is not the Cleveland team we're used to. They have a lot more guys who are a little more free swinging, not nearly as disciplined as they once were. And I think they're going to struggle here with Crochet. He's got good stuff. This is a good spot for him to pitch well. Carrasco, I mean, he's going to go out there and give you 5 innings, that's for sure. But what's he going to do? Flip a coin? This White Sox team sneakily is top 15 hitting offensively against right-handed pitching. I never thought I would be saying that, but here we are. And I like them here. Like I said, I'll back the White Sox in the first 5. We get the plus a half, so if for some reason it's 0-0, we'll get the win either way. But I wouldn't be surprised if the White Sox flip a run or two here early. We've seen this team; they're just extremely scrappy, putting together good at bats, and when you put the ball in play, good things are going to happen. So give me the White Sox plus a half in the first 5. Next one is the St. Louis Cardinals taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. This is Lance Lynn versus Robert Gasser. So Gasser's making a spot start here with the Brewers. Peralta's serving that 5-game suspension for the stuff that happened with Tampa. And he hasn't been good in the minors. Dealing with a bit of an injury, I believe he had like a bone spur. So his ERA is over 5. He really hasn't been great. He's a lefty, and he gets a Cardinals team who the bats are starting to wake up a little bit here. And then you got Lance Lynn on the other side, which we all know gives up the long ball, heavily reliant on the fastball. And this Brewers team is absolutely mashing the fastball right now. So I like the over. I'm not sure what it's at. I didn't see a line currently, but I'm going to roll with the over here. I think Lance Lynn's going to give it up. You got the Brewers who are just white hot at the plate. WRC plus of 120 versus right-handed pitching for the last 2 weeks. And like I said, the Cardinals starting to swing it a bit. WRC plus getting up closer to 100, so they're starting to get it going here. And you get Gasser, who just has really struggled in the minors, and I just think having to make this spot start on short notice, it's just not a good spot for him. Like I said, lefty, who we all know the Cardinals are built to mash left-handed pitching. And I think that they get it going here. This is a good spot for them against a guy who, the moment might be a little bit too big for him. So give me the over. Our next one is the Texas Rangers taking on the Colorado Rockies. This is John Gray versus Austin Gomber. And you get in Texas here at like almost a minus 200 favorite on the road, which I hate playing those kind of prices on the road. But you get John Gray, who obviously is super familiar with pitching at Coors because he's played with Rockies. So I like John Gray K's here. Good spot for him against this Rockies team, who we all know really bad against right-handed pitching. 28% K rate over the last 2 weeks. Bottom 2 in contact percent, and they lead the league in chase rate outside the zone. So for me here, I do like John Gray K's, and then I'm going to opt for a Texas team total. Against left-handed pitching, they're really just kind of average so far, but I just don't trust Gomber at all, especially at Coors. And I think Texas gets it going here. I think we could easily see 6-7 runs from Texas in this one, and John Gray should be able to hold down the Rockies. So if you want to take the Rangers, as like a money line parlay piece, I think that's just fine. But for me here, I'm gonna opt for the Rangers team total. What's going on, everybody? I just want to take this moment to give a special shout out to our sponsor, Sleeper Picks. Thank you for sponsoring this video, and don't forget you can use code GOLDBOYS for a $500 deposit match on your first deposit. Thank you, Sleeper Picks, for sponsoring this video. Now back to the bets. Our next one is Kansas City Royals taking on Los Angeles Angels. This is Alec Marsh versus Griffin Canning. The Royals, super K adverse as of late, 14.8% K rate versus right-handed pitching. So I think Canning under K is a great look here. In terms of offense, though, you get both teams extremely average, right around middle of the pack this season, and no real edge to me here in terms of a side. So I'm going to look at the under. I just think both teams aren't hitting well right now, and it's a good spot for these pitchers to kind of take advantage of that. Obviously, the biggest concern is the blow-up because, like, Canning is a bit of a gasoline can, and we've seen that numerous times this season where he faces these scuffling teams and they just get it going. But I'm just not sure this is a spot for the Royals. So small lean in the under, probably my least favorite game on the slate. Probably not a game I'll have any kind of money on, but give me the under. Our next one is Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the Padres. This is Tyler Glasnow versus Michael King. Michael King has really struggled his command this season as a starter, which wasn't something that I think anybody expected because he was very elite in terms of command. Against this patient Dodgers team, I think this is just a really bad spot for him. You get Glasnow on the mound for the Dodgers, so obviously it's their ace. You got to give me the Dodgers here. Obviously, they're at Petco Park. It's a tough spot. They're on the road, but I just don't think Michael King has the stuff to hang in this one. The command being such a big issue against Dodgers who do not chase. They don't expand the zone. We've seen it time and time again. This team just refuses to expand the zone, and ultimately against these guys who can't throw strikes, you're going to run their count up. You're going to see a lot of guys on base, and this Dodgers team is just so locked in right now. Ohtani, Muncy's finally turning it on, so it's just there's so many guys in this lineup who could do damage. So you got to give me the Dodgers here. Our next one is the Oakland Athletics taking on the Seattle Mariners. This is Paul Blackburn versus Brian Wu. Brian Wu's been hurt all season, elbow inflammation, so this will be his first start. Apparently he's good to go. He looked really good in the minors, 11.1 innings across 3 starts, so he's not quite fully stretched yet, so I do expect some sort of pitch count, probably around 80 pitches. But strikeout stuff's there. He's looked really good. Commands are really good. So it gets a good spot here. I mean, it's a scrappy Oakland team, but overall they're just average. We all know that. Blackburn, obviously the ace of this Oakland team, and he's a guy who I typically like to back. So for me here, I'm looking at the first 5 under. I like Brian Wu a lot. Like I said, I like Blackburn a lot. And I think they pitch well. You get a Mariners team, obviously K rate through the roof. So that'll help out Blackburn quite a bit, even though he's not a big strikeout guy. You get a team that's as undisciplined as the Mariners, and it can only help your cause. On the flip side, you get Oakland, who's every bit as undisciplined. I think Wu's going to have a nice game too. So I like a first 5 under here. Likely see this thing be like 1-0, 0-0 after 5. Couldn't talk me off of either guy's strikeouts as well. I'm sure Blackburn will be around a 4.5, and then Wu, I would expect something similar, truthfully. And I like both guys to go over. Our last one here is the Cincinnati Reds taking on the San Francisco Giants. This is Andrew Abbott versus Logan Webb, and we all know when you got Logan Webb at home, you back the Giants. So give me the Giants on the money line here. You get a Reds team that's just not hitting, flat out not hitting. There's no way around it. We keep seeing it. They get all these good matchups against these pitchers who are not good, and they even get some guys on base, and they cannot drive them in at all. They made Slade Sassoni look like a Cy Young candidate today. So I expect Logan Webb to absolutely deal here. Tough spot for Cincy having to travel. So I like Logan Webb to shut this team down. I like his strikeouts here. I like his pitching outs. I pretty much like anything Logan Webb in this spot. Andrew Abbott on the other side. Small lean to his under Ks. He hasn't been generating a ton of whiffs this season, but he's had a couple random ones where he pitches well. It was more of against teams that are actually good matchups. This Giants team at home has been one of the more K-adverse teams in all of baseball. So I do lean to his under Ks here. Not quite sure that I'll get there, but I do like the Giants on my line, and like I said, Logan Webb pretty much in every way, shape, and form. That does conclude this slate. If you guys do me a favor, drop a like, drop a comment. Let me know what you guys like. I always love reading them. As always, you can get all my plays at goldboys.com. If you have a gambling problem, dial 1-800-GAMBLER. Thank you, guys.